All right, welcome Luke Donald here to the Media Center at the RBC Canadian Open. Luke, you finished third last year, obviously on a different golf course, but your track record at the Canadian Open is a good one. Just how about some opening thoughts on coming back to the Canadian Open, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. This is actually the first tournament I ever made a cut in as a professional. It's Canadian Open, so has some good memories for me, and obviously I played nicely last year at St. George's. Excited to be here. It's a tough course with very demanding rough around the greens and off the tee, and it's going to be a challenge this week, but looking forward to the week.
Great. If you have questions, please raise your hand and we'll pass you a microphone. Right here.
Luke, just impressions of the course in more detail than your round today.
Yeah, it's a very good classic golf course. I think there are a lot of these in Canada. We played one last year, obviously, and I believe next year is at Hamilton, which is another one. So, very good classic golf course that meanders through the trees. The rough is extremely thick, probably the thickest we played all year. I would say it's even thicker than the US Open. So there's a big premium on hitting the fairway and hitting greens. The greens are very small. Reasonably flat, a little bit of undulation on them, but again, the premium this week is keeping it in play.
Okay. Sir?
Luke, you've been such a consistent player this year. Are you over your disappointment of missing the cut last week at Royal St. George's?
Yeah, I was disappointed, and obviously I come off a great week at Scottish Open and felt very prepared. I just didn't short game it well enough. I hit the ball, tee to green fine, but I wasn't very good around the greens, getting up and down when I miss greens, and not making those putts that you need to do at links golf courses. Yeah, totally over the disappointment. You can't really control the past, but you learn from it and you move on, and I'm excited to be here.
Follow-up question. What about being number one? It hasn't been that long since you've taken over that ranking. It's switched a couple of times this season. Does that bring with it any added pressure?
I think so. It always brings a little bit more expectation. There's a little bit more media, a little bit more time commitments. But I'm excited for the challenge. I've since being number one, I've been able to hold on for it for a number of weeks now. I'm trying to draw on all the good things that got me to number one, and kind of draw from all those positives and bring that to each week.
Where?
Luke, you were on the charter. Can you explain what it's like getting off one course, getting on a plane, flying across a continent, and getting ready to play another tournament? How challenging that is?
I actually didn't go on the charter because of my missed cut. I decided to fly to Chicago for the weekend, see my family who I hadn't seen for a few weeks. So, but obviously, yeah, the lifestyle that we lead is a busy one. The worst part about it, the most unglamorous side of it, is the traveling. We're on the road 30 plus weeks a year, and it's tough. It makes you really appreciate being at home, and but certainly wouldn't give it up for anything.
Hey Luke, how much more pressure goes when you're trying to keep that high ranking going into a tournament? Do you focus on that at all, or you just go one day at a time?
The focus really isn't on the world rankings. It's nice to be world ranked number one, but the focus for me is always the same, and that's continually to try and improve every aspect of my game, just a little bit each day, and continue to get better, and continue to put myself in position to win tournaments.
Sure.
You mentioned off the top that you made your first professional cut, I think, at the Canadian Open. I'm assuming that was at Glen Abbey or someplace back east, probably.
I think it was in Montreal, maybe, yeah.
But I think before that you played here an event out in Northview Golf Club in Surrey at the Air Canada Championship, and I think shot a couple of rounds of even par and just missed the cut, I think. What do you remember of that experience, and what do you remember about your match with Brad Newman-Bennett at Marine Drive Golf Club?
Yeah, obviously did play the Air Canada here, not too far away, and narrowly missed the cut. It was obviously disappointing. I was, trying to, at that point, try and make a name for myself, and missing cuts wasn't much fun. But Yeah, I obviously I'm friendly with Brad Newby, as we call him. He went to Northwestern, and I've seen him a few times. I think he's actually caddying this week for another Northwestern alum who Monday qualified. So hopefully going to meet up with them and have some dinner this week.
More questions?
Yeah, Luke, what's your thoughts on Darren Clark's winning last week? And is it a golden time for British golf right now with all the great players?
Well, certainly your answer to your second question, yeah. European golf and British golf has been really on a high. I mean, just looking back at the major championships that some of the guys have won, the success in the Ryder Cup, the world rankings where we have a lot of the guys in the top 10. It's been a great run for European golf and obviously British golf too. Darren's win, I think, was very popular. He's a master at links and dealing with bad conditions. I think he grew up on golf like that and was able to deal with it the best of anyone and deserved the trophy. So happy for Darren. He's obviously been out here a long time, and to get his first win after 20 years playing Open Championships is, I suppose, is somewhat inspiring to me. It means I've got plenty of time left.
All right, a couple more.
Luke, sorry if you're asked this, but I'll try and come at this a different way. It's a very strong field here, and that'll impact the world rankings. Does that enter your thinking at all, or do you just play and let the chips fall where they may at the end of the day?
As a player, you're always trying to play against the best players in the world and challenge yourself. I think that's part of the reason why I travel around the world, not just to play in one tour, but to play all around the world. I think it makes you a better player. To play against the best players on different kind of conditions. The thinking when I set my schedule is a little bit to do with that, but also to do with the schedule and where the tournaments fall. Obviously, I have a sponsorship with RBC, and it's part of the reason why I'm here. But I think it's RBC has done a great job in elevating their championship, the Canadian Open, and they've done a great job with not just sponsoring this event, but other events as well, and they've been a great partner for golf.
You mentioned the RBC sponsorship, and obviously that's a reason a lot of players are here. What else do you think drew so many players compared to past years that are high up in the rankings to come all the way across from the British Open and all the way across North America to here?
I think mostly the golf courses that you play the Canadian Open on. Even last year was a great classic course. Before I got here, I'd heard a lot of great things about this golf course. It was a very classic golf course. On tour now, it's a little bit of a dying breed. We're playing a lot of long, kind of wide open golf courses, and this is it's long enough, but it's a challenging, narrow, classic golf course, and I think people enjoy playing that style of golf.
I'm sorry, you touched on this before, but how, just physically, how difficult is that travel schedule? Like you said, is it tough to? You have a sponsorship, I understand, to be here, but is it a tough decision to say I'm going to come make the long trip from the British Open to come to play a tournament like this?
It is difficult, it's never easy dealing with an eight-hour time change. Jet lag is something that, if you play predominantly on the US Tour, you don't have to deal with too much. The most you're going to have is 3 hours. So learning to deal with that, though, I think, again, makes you a better player. You learn to deal with tough situations, and that makes you a stronger person, and helps you become more rounded by playing all over the world in different situations, different golf courses, different grass types. I've always enjoyed the challenge of trying to adapt and feel like not just playing one style of golf course. So it's certainly difficult, but it's very rewarding.
Okay, last one over here.
Luke, I wanted to ask you, as a national championship, you think the Canadian Open needs a better time slot on the PGA calendar, maybe 2 weeks after the British Open?
Yeah, perhaps. It's tough to find great slots nowadays. There's so many good events that we play on. We're very fortunate, both in the US Tour and the European Tour. You know, if you go a week later, obviously you come into the problem of maybe getting too close to the playoffs, or you know, you have the World event and the PGA. So it's very tough to find the ideal slot. You know, I think, to be honest, it's not a bad slot. You know, obviously this year being in Vancouver, it's a little bit trickier. It's a little bit longer flight, but you know, more often than not, it's been played in Toronto and that kind of area. And people are coming back to the US anyway, so why not come back, you know, with a charter and come play a great tournament.
Okay, great. Luke Donald, thank you.